Doc Talk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. I'm glad you joined me today. Today we're going to talk about antibiotic stewardship. We're going to talk about some of the issues that are being discussed out there in the media about antibiotic resistance and about what we're doing in the beef industry for judicious antimicrobial usage. It's going to be a show where I'm just going to point out some things and discuss them with you. It's going to be a little bit informal, but I hope that you enjoy today's show because it means a lot to me.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America. A place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan from Doc Talk here. I'm sure glad that you joined me here from the campus of Kansas State University, and it's a great day to be here and spend some time with y'all because we've seen a lot of things in the media lately surrounding the use of antibiotics in food-producing animals. And I thought today would be a good day to just kind of step back and let's talk about some of the issues. And one of the first things that it's kind of like when we talk about animal welfare, animal rights, and animal abuse, there are three distinct different terms there, and yet we tend to in the media get those jumbled up and use them interchangeably. When we talk about antibiotics, antibiotic residues are different from antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic residues is the prevention of antibiotics when we treat an animal with an antibiotic, that we have a withdrawal time or a time before that animal can go to slaughter so that we can be assured, based on work at the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, on when that animal will be cleared and appropriately have time to be slaughtered without having residues of the antibiotics in the carcass. So residues are carcass contamination of the antibiotics being in the carcass. Resistance of antibiotics, we're talking about the pathogens that we're either treating or other bacteria within the animal's body that could become resistant to it. When we talk about target pathogens, let's say target pathogen be like I treat an animal for bovine respiratory disease. When I treat that animal for respiratory disease with an antibiotic, Mannheimia, Histophilus, Pasteurella, those different bacteria can become resistant, and then our treatments become less effective for respiratory disease. When we talk about food safety and antibiotic resistance, we're really talking about the resistance patterns that when we treat an animal for bovine respiratory disease, how could that antibiotic cause resistance in some of the foodborne pathogens, such as Salmonella, E. coli, and Campylobacter. So residue are the actual antibiotic residue in the carcass, which we have approval from FDA before the product's ever released that this product is safe, and we have appropriate withdrawal times assigned. And the second one is we have a USDA inspection service where FSIS, the Food Safety Inspection Service, will actually monitor antibiotic residues. And we have less than 0.1% of animals within the industry that goes to slaughter that have any sort of microscopic antibiotic residue problem. That's 99.9% of the animals that go into our system have been looked at by USDA FSIS, and we have no issue with those animals. When we start to think about that versus resistance, where the animals, we're looking at the bacteria, we're looking at two places. One, how do we use antibiotics and how do we prevent resistance in the pathogens that we're trying to treat for, and 2, how do we prevent resistance from occurring in the pathogens, the foodborne pathogens that maybe don't affect the animals but could affect us if we come across a foodborne pathogen in our beef patty or someplace down the road. Really, the forefront of this starts with a valid veterinary client-patient relationship. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about what a valid VCPR does and how you can work with your veterinarian to pick out the appropriate antibiotics to make sure that we're practicing good antibiotic stewardship and judicious use of antimicrobials so that we can keep our technology and not let someone from a restaurant that has no background in medicine take them away.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment.
Mackenzie Steger grew up on a farming and ranching operation in Nebraska. She loved raising and showing cattle and working with local farmers and ranchers. Her passion lies in the cow, calf, and feed yard sector of the veterinary profession. After graduation and officer training, she will report to Fort Carson, Colorado for active duty in the U.S. Army Veterinary Corps.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Healthy cows start with the new Hired Hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher. Get the new Hired Hand for yourself or become a distributor. Visit cowsprayer.com. The new Hired Hand makes healthy cows easy.
Calves require adequate, high-quality colostrum immediately following birth to receive the immune and nutritional support needed to fight diseases and thrive. Next-generation Colostrix colostrum replacer and supplement are USDA licensed to aid in the treatment of failure of passive transfer and contain natural maternal bovine colostrum antibodies against E. coli K99. Ask your animal health supplier for Colostrix or visit agrilabs.com for details. Colostrix makes all systems go.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan from Doc Talk here, and glad that you joined me. And we're talking about antibiotics. And the reason why we're talking about antibiotics is that antibiotics are great tools that are used in a judicious manner by veterinarians and producers working together to provide a safe, wholesome food supply. Antibiotic usage is necessary for animals that get sick, whether it's a cow, a dog, and it's also necessary for humans. I heard somebody say one day that, you know, when we see some of these restaurant groups go out and they just say, well, we're just going to not use antibiotics anymore in animals. Well, you know, that's the easy way out. That's the cop out. And when I start to think about this, you know, this is a complex problem. And for every complex issue, there's a simple solution, and it's wrong. We have to step back and we have to take the time and really understand the depth of the issue and understand whether or not we really have an issue or not. And I'm kind of the camp that when it comes to foodborne pathogen antibiotic resistance, causing antibiotic resistance in humans, it's a pretty microscopic issue from the surface down to the core. You know, the first thing that we have to understand with antibiotics and producers is that for us to obtain the antibiotics that we're discussing today, whether it's the fluoroquinolones or the macrolides or the cephalosporins, we have to have a prescription, just like in human medicine. And that requires a veterinary client-patient relationship. What is a veterinary client-patient relationship? Well, the core matter of a veterinary client-patient relationship is that a veterinarian has access to the farm, has been on the farm, is familiar with the animals and the health status of the herd, and has followed up on some of the cases. the veterinarian is also available for follow-up or emergency calls back out to that facility or back out to that farm. So the veterinarian is familiar with the farm, the veterinarian is familiar with the animals, and the veterinarian is available for follow-up calls. Then that is half of the veterinary client-patient relationship. There's also a producer half of the veterinary client responsibility, and that is the producer is saying that I have a veterinary client-patient relationship with Dr. XYZ, and therefore I will comply with the prescription as written. So basically, the veterinarian comes on the farm, works with the animals, works with the producer, understands the facility, understands the production system, and then the producer says, all right, this is my doctor, this is my veterinarian. The way that they tell me to use the antibiotics is how I'm going to use those antibiotics in a judicious manner to treat the animals that get sick, whether it's a respiratory disease or maybe a diarrheal disease in calves. And then I'm going to use those in a manner that is appropriate, and I'm going to follow the withdrawal time in which the veterinarian has established for me for these classes of compounds. You know, one of the things that as we move forward and we start to think about, you know, human antibiotic resistance, first of all, the biggest issue in human antibiotic resistance is being created from the medical profession in human medicine. And then you start to think about other areas where we might have resistance. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those areas around the globe, talk about antibiotic resistance, and we'll talk about who should be concerned. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More right after this break.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
I'm Dr. Kip Lukasevich with Production Animal Consultation. Today's BQA Tip of the Day is bud box facilities. We're at a feed yard today that has a bud box. It's becoming more and more popular. The advantage of the bud box is that it's a facility that has open sides. It has one solid side, which is the gate, which they come in through. But it takes advantage of cattle's natural behavior in that cattle like to see what's pressuring them, and they like to return where they came from. And so the way our alley is set up is so that the cattle come into the box first, and they make a turn, and they come back around, and then they go right down into the double feed alley, and they go straight, which cattle prefer. The advantage of the bud box is that if we have one that is giving us problems going into the alley, and sometimes that happens, we have a gate here that we can swing and bring around to narrow that up and have him go in. And if we have one that is kind of ornery and doesn't want to cooperate with us that way, we can easily come through here and come through the gate and work from the outside. And if we need to, we can have a flag or something that we can utilize to work from the outside and have the cattle come in as well. Both ways work really well, and that's how you stay safe working in a bud box.
Say this is a calf that's been run through the chute a few too many times. Going through the chute stresses cattle, causing them not to eat like they should. Luckily, Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ provides proven protection against key respiratory diseases in a single shot, with just one trip through the chute. Talk to your veterinarian about Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, and soon your calves will relax and eat like a whole different animal.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Norfenicol, florfenicol, is an excellent first-choice broad-spectrum antibiotic for the treatment and control of BRD and the treatment of foot rot. It offers a shorter sub-Q withdrawal time and is more syringeable than other florfenicol cattle antibiotics on the market. Norfenicol also addresses the issue of breakage with their new plastic bottles. Observe label directions and withdrawal times. See product labeling for full product information, including warnings and precautions. Fight the most common and costly disease affecting the beef cattle industry with Norfenicol from Norbrook.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why Doc Talk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
True Test Group, weighing systems, electronic identification EID, electric fencing, and dairy automation systems help farmers and ranchers around the world manage the performance of their livestock for ultimate profitability.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk, and we're talking about antibiotics. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson from Kansas State University, and when I start to think about the antibiotic resistance issue, and the number one concern of antibiotic resistance is we want to make sure that the antibiotics we have in human medicine continue to be effective. And first of all, you know, when we look at and hear lectures, people that describe where if there's going to be a superbug, and a superbug is a bug that's resistant to all antibiotics, okay, or bacteria that's resistant to all antibiotics. You know, the places, the peri-urban areas or the slums of the developing countries in India or in China where people are actually living with the animals and there's no regulation over antibiotic usage are the places that are of the greatest concern of a global superbug being created, which makes sense. But going into a country like that and saying no antibiotics where you can buy them at the corner store and there's no regulation is difficult, impossible. The next place, if we're talking about in a developed country that has tight regulation over antibiotics, there's two things that come to mind in my opinion. First of all, if it's where people are living with animals, and we're talking about the ability of antibiotic resistance in a pathogen in an animal to be transferred to a human, the place where animals are living with people in this country are our small animals. And the same classifications of drugs for dogs, cats, and different animals are right there, the same types of classifications that we use for humans, that we use for dogs, cats, parakeets, fish, and cattle, pigs, and sheep. I even read a paper where a man got an infection in his pacemaker from his German Shepherd licking his incision site after surgery. So when we start to come out and do these marketing campaigns against antibiotics and say that we're going to remove antibiotics from farms, ranches, and from food animal production, I think we need to step back and look at the overarching picture of global transfer, global transportation, global trade, and start to look at countries that don't have veterinary infrastructure, they don't have regulation of antibiotics within those countries, the people are living with the animals, and then we start to look at the small animals. If there's going to be a resistance transfer from a food animal to a human being, it's going to be from a foodborne pathogen, which we have some of the best preventative strategies today of preventing Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter from being transferred with or without antibiotic resistance. And in the case of E. coli 0157H7, we don't use antibiotics to treat that pathogen anyway. Getting these things put into perspective to where we can really understand where we're going and what some of the issues are going forward, I think are imperative. We as producers, we understand the huge responsibility. Make sure you work with your veterinarian. Make sure you have a veterinary client-patient relationship. Make sure that you're doing the right things and following the withdrawals. These are tools that we need to keep, and they're tools that keep our animals healthy and keep our food supply safe, wholesome, and affordable. More after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Inc.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nels Lindberg with Animal Medical Center and Production Animal Consultation. Today, on our quick tip of the day, we want to talk about withdrawal times. I've got a question for you. I'm curious if you're following your withdrawal times, or if you've ever had FDA come visit you because you've had a residue pop up or they're looking for a residue. What happens when FDA shows up is they've had a residue pop up at the packing plant. And from there, they just work their way down the line trying to find out where that drug was given and who didn't obey the law and obey the withdrawal. So it's vitally important as a producer that you keep very accurate records, handwritten records, or computerized records, so that every drug you give, you have the withdrawal established. Please don't send animals to the next producer or sale barn without making sure that they are off withdrawal.
Join the team, the Beef Quality Assurance Team. Getting BQA certified shows you're committed to practices that produce the highest quality beef in the world. And by visiting BQA.org, you can take the online certification course at a time that fits your schedule and from the comfort of your home or office. You'll also find lots of helpful tips on improving animal health and animal handling practices. Get certified, BQA certified, because it's about doing the right thing. Visit BQA.org today and become a member of the BQA team.
Calves require adequate, high-quality colostrum immediately following birth to receive the immune and nutritional support needed to fight diseases and thrive. Next-generation Colostrix colostrum replacer and supplement are USDA licensed to aid in the treatment of failure of passive transfer and contain natural maternal bovine colostrum antibodies against E. coli K99. Ask your animal health supplier for Colostrix or visit agrilabs.com for details. Colostrix makes all systems go.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Beef producers asked for it, and the wait is over. Enroflox 100 Enrofloxacin from Norbrook, now approved for single-dose treatment and control of bovine respiratory disease, with the same active ingredient and dosing regimen as Baytril 100 in beef and non-lactating dairy cattle. Choose Enroflox 100 when looking for an injectable antimicrobial solution to treat and control BRD. Observe label directions and withdrawal times. See product labeling for full product information, including warnings and precautions. Consult your veterinarian to see if Enroflox 100 is right for your cattle.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan here. Glad that you joined me today. I'm glad that you join us every day. And thanks for watching the show and spending some time with us. It warms my heart when somebody comes up and tugs me on the shirt sleeve and say, hey, I watch you on Doc Talk. And, thanks for watching and thanks for being a part. Thanks for farming and ranching, because, when we start to think about this, our industry changes. Every industry changes. And so we're going to go through some changes when it comes to antibiotic usage and some of the regulations surrounding antibiotics. And it's a logical step forward. It's something we embrace as an industry. With veterinary feed directives coming, it'll just be the next chapter in judicious antimicrobial usage, and it'll tie the veterinary client-patient relationship with the producer even tighter. One of the things that we have to continually strive for is the prevention of use of antibiotics. That means I don't want to use an antibiotic, you don't want to use an antibiotic on your farm, because that means your animal's sick. So what we want to do is continually work with our veterinarians, work with our nutritionists, work with our extension agents to provide preventative medicine, preventative care, animal husbandry, cattle comfort, proper nutrition, proper number of people on the farm, and just continually work to improve food safety and animal health on a day-to-day basis. That's our goal every day, is to just get a little bit better tomorrow than we were today. I think that in the end, as all of these things roll down, we're going to start looking at some traceability programs within our industry. And the last thing we have to remember is that it is a one beef industry motto, okay? Whether you own cattle on the hoof at the ranch, whether you own them in a feed yard, Whether you own beef in a packing plant or whether you're selling hamburgers at the retail, we're all in this industry together. At the end of the day, we all have to work together. We have to communicate together, and we have to have everybody's best interest in mind. Number one, the consumer. Number two, the people who raise the cattle and live with the cattle on a day-to-day basis. And number three, the cattle themselves. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. Be sure to work with your local veterinarian. If you want to know more about Doc Talk, you can find us on the web. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. Doc Talk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.